Hello again. Oh boy. Well, I will probably just delete the live recording gaff that we just had for the last 10 minutes. I attempted to stream texturing Lord of the Pit and Substance, and my computer cannot stream and do that at the same time. It sucks. I really wanted to do that on stream with you guys, but it is just, yeah, it is too intense for me to stream it at the same time. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show that. Um, when I get to certain milestones with it, I'll try to like at least share some images with you guys on the stream, and then of course, when I get out of Substance and we start moving to other steps of the process, hopefully that will be something that I can show on the stream. But in terms of the actual texturing process and stuff like that, I tried my best, but it just is too much. So, um, and with that, I guess I'm a little unprepared for what to stream today. But we were working on these creature heads before we started Lord of the Pit last year, and I kind of wanted to get back to this. I think we had talked about working on some of these other head designs, and so I thought this is probably the best thing to come back to. So, yeah, we kind of wrapped up head 1 and 2, and moving on to head 3, which I'll go ahead and reveal the sketch for that. I have to get reacquainted with these layers here. Okay, let's see. Ah, yes. This guy right here is the next candidate. So let's I don't even remember what process we were doing. If we were doing flat colors and then we were doing some AO, I think we were doing that. Just looking at the. Sorry, I guess my screen is a little bit. There we go. It's a little narrow. You guys can't even see what the heck's going on. Um, uh, I'm just looking to see if I have enough information in the line art to just do a flat into the ambient shadow, and I think we've got enough info in here. If I wanted to kind of elaborate on the forms more, then I would go shadows first and then flats. But yeah, I think we'll just do flats here. So okay, we got to figure out a scheme we want to do. Let's make ourselves a folder for head 03. I'll throw this in flats. I'll put this in line art. Ooh. I clipped a little piece of that guy's line art out. I didn't mean to do that. Let's do that. And lines. Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment that I couldn't do that. I mean, I knew already that there was a possibility that I wasn't going to be able to do Substance on stream, but that definitely proved it. Sadly. All right. Set this to multiply, and now we've got to choose some colors. Now, um, I don't want to feel too beholden to anything we've done previously. We could, of course, try to like theme the whole page so that they're all like red themed or something. Um, but I don't think I want to feel that limitation. So, with that being said, some of these bluish purple tones in this tongue here, I actually think could be nice for these feathers. And then we get the fleshiness up in here. So actually, yeah, let's try that as a starting point. Then we can always tweak as we go, right? And then we'll want some variation on these feathers, of course, but this is a good starting point. And not to dwell on the substance topic too much, but if you guys are at all familiar with, you know, cinematic workflow in Substance, it's my first time trying to do something that's that high res. I usually, for in-game stuff, you don't go that high, and so if you guys have maybe some thoughts on maybe things to, I mean, I know that there's obvious things to do, like use less textures or use less resolution or use a model that has less polygons. Like, aside from the obvious suggestions of just like make a less detailed asset, I'd be curious to hear any suggestions you guys have about working on something of that level, uh, in ways to make it, I guess, more performant. I think the main thing that I was noticing there was it wasn't really having trouble displaying things in the viewport or letting me paint in the viewport. It was when I was adjusting layer visibility that the time to compute was insane, and also basically hogging all my system resources to where everything on my computer would come to a screeching halt. And the last straw, the reason why I kind of abandoned it was because it actually killed all the audio on my computer as well. So I was not even able to communicate with you guys via mic to say, "Hey, it's stuck and I'll be back in a second." It, like, the audio was just dead and I had to restart to get it back. So, yeah, it was a little too much. But yeah, it's an interesting problem, isn't it? Again, I'll try to do it off stream, and I mean, I will do it off stream. I'll definitely, because I need to finish that thing. Been a lot of effort in it. But yeah, if you guys have some thoughts on that, definitely let me know. All right, so there's our like bluish purple thing going on. Let's now think about, I do like, let's see, this is like a weird, maybe his head's kind of pale up here. I'm wondering if we can maybe do like less red overall. We've been very red dominant in the last two heads. And I mean, this one could use some red in some areas, but maybe we lean into a little bit of a different palette here. Now, he's got this sort of bony skull thing. I feel like I think that's all still within the realm of this mask we want. And then we can, we can paint into this mask if we want to kind of transition from this flesh into maybe something that's kind of a bony horn-like material or discolored skin or something like that. Now the eyes want to be different. Oh yeah, okay, I'll go all the way to the edge there. I like this guy's expression. He's giving me like Skeksis vibes. A disturbing demonic Skeksis, but still in the family. And something you can do is if you are trying to texture and put some materials on a sculpt, a 3D model, and you're not really sure where to go with it, you can tinker in 3D, but you could also just screenshot your model and experiment with it in Photoshop in 2D. Just paint on it for a little bit. It's a really great way to be creative and a little bit less encumbered by the technical, right? Just kind of feel out your vision, and then you can go back in 3D once you have a little clearer idea of where you want to head with it. So I'm just trying to think of what areas are not the flesh. I'm thinking that this beak is like a different. The beak's like exposed bone, right? And this probably is exposed bone here on the left and the right as well. This is probably exposed. Yeah, I didn't create any clear delineation in the line art here of this transition. So that might be a little bit to resolve that. But I think this area, it feels a little more clear. Well, let's try it. Let's see if I can keep this feeling separate. When you try to fill in your flats, it really is a test of how logical your line art is. If it's being tricky in any way, then you're going to have some problems. So all these little negative spaces in here are kind of where like the where the beak material is gonna kind of come through. I wonder, I'm feeling like my mic volume might be a little low. Okay, let's pop the mic volume up one notch there. I think when my audio got messed up a moment ago, I think it might have also kind of decided to reset some of my my volume settings. Okay, I have to hide this now to see what I'm doing. Okay. Yep, that looks good. I guess that's a little hole there. Sure. Yeah. And then this is all filled in here. But yeah, I'm glad we're still streaming something cool and hanging out for a bit. I feel like it's important to be able to kind of bounce back from technical challenges. You know, it can really disrupt your flow, right? It can really make you bummed out or make you anxious or nervous about whether you can finish something. But I think the thing to be cautious of is becoming paralyzed, right? You want to try to at least keep moving, keep the flow going. I really wish I could kind of, maybe this. Okay, here we go. I'm kind of seeing more of what I maybe was implying with the line art now with this area. So anyway, the point of me rambling there was just to say that, yeah, I'm glad we kind of like are still making something cool tonight and didn't let the technical issues completely paralyze us. so it might just be that this here wants to be... Okay. Again, this is where I was not really clear enough in the line art to find a place to end this, but we'll see what we can come up with here. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if we could even get away with it here. Let's get some of the skull showing. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm into that. Okay, now of course this side needs a little bit of that as well, and I'm not sure that I'll be able to show it as clearly on that side, but okay, sure. Yeah, that seems pretty decent. Yeah, like the inside of the mouth probably wants a different material as well. Let's see what we're gonna do with these eyes here. What have we done so far? We did sort of just like, you know, cream colored eyeballs. We did glowing yellow eyes. I don't know. What are we gonna do with this guy? Maybe. Let's see what we do here. Let's see what this looks like. There's yellow. There's red. Ooh, it's like a pinkish. Yeah, red eyes are kind of cool, huh? Okay. Let's go with that. I'm going to go a little less saturated with them. Maybe a little. All right, let's do that. And then to maybe carry that theme, we'll go with a red tongue. I'm going to paint over these little weird tongue thorns, but we'll give those a different color as well. All right, now what are we doing? Maybe let's just figure out this bone here. I think I like the idea of it being a darker color. Oh, we could just do like a dark gray. Maybe it's a little bit warm. Maybe that's too... It's funny because I actually almost like this background color on there, but... How close is it? Okay, it's just a little bit warmer and a little darker. Okay. It's a little close to the background, a little too close for comfort, but let's just block this in and we'll see how it feels. I like the idea of the dark bone with the pale flesh. I think that's super fun. I guess that just all gets filled in there and this here. Oh, I think that was actually supposed to be skin there. Kind of stretching over. All right. Oops, don't move that. Sometimes I use the move tool to select layers, and sometimes the move tool, like when I go to select something, it actually nudges it, which is really annoying. But I get it. That's like the move tool, right? It moves things, but yeah, just a little workflow challenge there sometimes. And sometimes I don't notice it right away that it's happened. I'll look later and be like, why is this color offset from the drawing? I try to catch it when it happens, but doesn't doesn't happen every time either. So it's a little bit of a moving target. That connection point there reads a little thin to me. I wonder if I'm supposed to just maybe connect it there. And then in the line art, we can do a little modification. Put a couple little details in there. Okay. Yeah, I was just feeling a little odd. And now we're gonna do the bottom area. Do it up to the gum line there. Why is that? It's a little. There we go. And let's get this far side. The far side. Wasn't that like a comic strip or something? That was old school. I'm dating myself. In ye olden days, there was something called a newspaper, and in the newspaper, there were these things called comics. Not like Marvel comics, but like the Peanuts gang comics. And you could take something called Silly Putty, and you could push it onto the newspaper, and it would transfer the comic onto your Silly Putty. That was like what kids did for fun in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay, let's see. We got that. And then I think we can do a color for the inside of the mouth. And no idea what we're going to do there. I'm tempted to do some kind of a blue thing. Let's put some blue in and see what happens. Not the teeth. We're going to paint over the teeth, but I just want to get some blue in there. Okay. I want to change this color of these. Oh, maybe pink. Oh yeah, that's kind of fun, isn't it? I'm a sucker for analogous schemes, guys. I mean, you probably, if you've been on the stream long enough, you know. Sorry, I had to switch that back on. And let's get a drink while we're at it. I got a Spindrift pineapple tonight. Not sponsored. That's a brisk, baby. But yeah, I love analogous schemes, and obviously shifting that to the pink side. I can get the purple, pink, teal. We're getting some interesting. We're kind of like slowly squeezing the colors over to that side of the wheel, and I'm liking it. I'm definitely liking it. I think we might have missed some area here. I was noticing. Yeah, I think there's supposed to be flesh here, so let's fix this here. Yeah, there we go. We missed a little bit of that earlier. So that's got kind of an interesting vibe. Now we got to get the teeth in. I'll just do that on top. And, well, I guess we could do, we could actually go with the bone color, couldn't we? Oh, it's gonna shoot. I was gonna say it's gonna read really nice when the teeth are on top of the inner mouth color, but when the teeth are here, they overlap the jaw, and I feel like we're gonna lose. It might still be worth it though. Oh shoot! I just noticed that we used the wrong brush on this this bone stuff here. It has some flecks in it. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I mean, the texture is probably going to be nice, but it was unintended. Okay, so yeah, what I wanted to do was go on here, grab this color, and then see if we like the teeth being the same color as the horns and the beak and all that. In addition to analogous schemes, I'm also a huge fan of a limited palette because I feel like you can create a piece that is I think it's easier to create a memorable, moody piece with a limited palette, which is probably a cheap way out. I'm sure there's somebody who could call me out on that, like that's the easy solution. But you know what? It works, and I like it. So there. I don't leave things super limited. I think maybe more of my strategy is that I start things in a limited way and then I sort of cautiously expand. And that seems to work pretty well for me. Sometimes I even expand too much and I kind of pull it back because I'm like, I like the limited vibes. So are we okay with that overlap? Yeah, I mean, again, it's not ideal that the teeth and the outer edge kind of don't have as much separation as I'd like, but it might be worth the trade-off there for having a nice, consistent palette here throughout. I forget who. I think somebody was it Tomislav. Somebody was suggesting these spikes on the tongue here. I think we're talking about was it like penguins or some animal where you don't think that they would have a weird thing going on, and then they have like crazy like spikes on their tongue. It's very, very disturbing. All right, there's that. I think that's a tooth right there. Okay. Really ill-defined in that little spot there. Okay, whatever. Right. I better save this. And yeah, that's a pretty interesting scheme going on there, right? Now, we may have to pull down the value a little bit on this base so that way we have room to put in a little specularity, but yeah, I think overall that's a kind of a fun base to work with. Let's do. It's funny. There's a lot of this kind of feels like we are working in Substance, right? Like it's kind of like we're texturing a creature, which is fun. I wish Substance worked as fluidly as Photoshop, but I realize that yeah, this isn't 3D, right? So quite a bit easier to manage. But yeah, I'm thinking about gradients, how we can leverage gradients here. I like this light to dark scheme, but then the dark can maybe go light again. And so for that, let's try. I've got some skin brushes that might be good here. Let's try. I've got like a pore brush. Is this like skin pores? This might be too. Yeah, I think it's too sandy looking. Okay, that looks a little. I think I want it to be kind of. Did we? Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a pretty fun texture, isn't it? Let's lower the line art a little more so we can get a better read of what's going on here. Got some bold vibes happening there. I think we could do it on the ends of the teeth here as well. Am I on the right thing? Oh, the teeth, right? It's a separate one. Forgot. Speaking of texturing workflows and strategies for putting some of this details on, I remember in college I was on a project with some folks, and we were aiming for like a cinematic feel, more of a realistic vibe. And I was tasked with doing some texturing on a character. And at the time, I had no sense of like how to approach cinematic or realistic texturing. I was more from like a hand painted sort of background. I mean, I some of the first skills I learned in college was like, drawing and painting and things like that, and I was less technically inclined, and so my first attempt at texturing the character was very cartoony looking. I thought it looked okay. I mean, it wasn't like painted poorly, but it was stylistically completely wrong. And I remember the team was like trying to tell me nicely, like, that looks cool, man, but like it's not the right vibes. And I was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you don't paint like the light and shadow into the textures if you're doing a cinematic model. Like you just define the materials, and then the engine lights the model. And I was like, oh, right, okay. Hey, how's it going, Dominic? Good to see you. So yeah, that was kind of a learning experience for me. And yeah, just 3D in general has definitely like influenced a lot of my 2D workflows, and vice versa. Like it's really fun when everything kind of supports each other. Okay, we'll do a little bit of light speckling there. Try to keep our like strategy. Maybe I'll add a few little kind of weird dots. Oh, I can't on that layer. Starting to regret that I have those on different layers, but that's fine. We'll work with it. So I kind of feel like I'm kind of add a few little dots. Just kind of modeling it and trying to help a little bit of the transition here. Dominique, you missed it. We were trying to texture Lord of the Pit in Substance Painter, and my computer was not powerful enough to do it on stream. So now we're doing 2D in Photoshop, which is fine. I'm happy to paint, but like, yeah, I was like, man, that kind of changed plans. Had to kind of react to that challenge. I mean, my computer would be able to do it if I wasn't trying to push such crazy texture resolutions and stuff. I'm really abusing the hell out of it, but I'm being stubborn about quality on that thing, so maybe next time I won't do a full body. I'll just do a bust, and then we can really murder it. Maybe that'd be fun. You guys interested in seeing that? Leave a comment if you guys would be still interested in seeing me just do like a creature bust. Just like neck up or shoulders up, or just not maybe the full body. I know it's not as exciting. I mean, obviously, like Lord of the Pit, we're gonna like rig him maybe and like throw him in Unreal, so that's definitely a little more exciting. But maybe it's still fun to see just like a super crazy high res cinematic bust come together. And then I think in theory I should be able to do that in Substance on the stream if I just try to keep the counts and the resolutions and everything a little more reasonable. Kind of want to add just a little bit of weird modeling to that area there so it doesn't look too forgotten. Okay, so we got a little bit of cool gradients going on with the bone areas. Now with the fleshy parts, I think we can play with some slightly I don't know, like darker, I guess, discolored sections. So let's switch to that color here, and then maybe we'll use. Do I want to do like a cloud type of brush? I'm thinking about. Yeah, maybe we just do a soft brush here. Maybe it doesn't need to be too complicated. Also, did I miss a section there? Oh my goodness. Maybe I just... Oh, wait, what's going on? I think it's... Oh, I think we just were a little bit sloppy about the edge there. Okay, we're good. I just was not as careful about that, I guess. Okay, there we go. And now I can go for sort of a dark socket. Now this isn't lighting and shadows, right? This is like we're actually trying to make his skin darker around his eyes. Do we colorize this a little bit? Let's see. Yeah, maybe we go for just like a little bit of a magenta tone. And then with that in mind, I can kind of maybe put a little bit around some of these areas too. Kind of show like a little bit of like stress or kind of like bruising or something around these open areas. Again, very grotesque. This is, I guess, in some ways almost like a zombie treatment. Zombie bird. You could put it around. Okay, yeah, it's almost kind of just around all the edges, right? Yeah, we'll just kind of go for like an edge treatment there. there's that. Okay. Put a little bit here. So yeah, I guess this is like our diffuse texture, right? For all those 3D nerds out there. Okay. Now, do I want any? I think this might just be. Maybe we have a few little like funky little. I guess I can put a little bit around these openings, right? And I was thinking maybe just a few little like kind of random weird spots. Okay, and then in terms of the, I think I want this little tiny pupil here to be bright. Now I'm thinking about, do I want any? I don't think I want any texture in here. Maybe we do a little bit. Maybe we do a little bit. I'll go a little bit more red, a little darker. And we'll just put a little bit of weird veiny stuff coming in. Yeah. It's subtle, but I think it adds a nice little bit of detail. Most of the information there is going to be from like the glassiness, the shading and stuff we're going to do there. Now, the inner mouth area feels like it also wants maybe some kind of gradation. And for that, now we have to consider that there's going to be shadows on the inside of the mouth here, so the lighting is going to want it to feel like it goes from dark to light. So if we do like an inverse scheme, it's going to make it feel flat because the local values will contradict the global values, and it just starts to get complicated. Sometimes that works fine. I think it tends to work better when you have an area where there's like equal illumination on the light and dark areas, but for this here, that would be, I think, problematic. Let's first pick a color. I think maybe we'll do. Where are we at with this? We're there. Maybe we go a little bit truer blue. We do like a pale, almost like a periwinkle. That might be too subtle. Let's see. Thinking kind of like the gums get a little more pale. I think you see this in some animals, right? Some animals get like weird pale kind of gum areas going on. Maybe even, I mean, dogs have weird like dark colored gums, but I think they have, I don't know, we'd have to go look at some pictures. I'm not the animal anatomy expert. But I think I like what I've got going on there. Maybe we spot it up a little bit. Spots are usually pretty cool. And then we'll keep this area in here kind of teal. And then I think for the tongue, I may do a dark gradient at the end here. I think that'll be nice. Now, what we haven't done is we haven't done any sort of like micro grain or anything. But I'm like leaving that till later. That's kind of easy stuff to do. The gradation stuff I think is much more tricky. So, and do we change the value and the hue? What do we do with saturation there? Let's see if I go a little less saturated with it. Is that interesting? Yeah, okay, that's cool. Okay, for the feathers, I think we'll probably go with like a mixer brush approach to get some variance in here. So we'll set that up in a second. Let's do a little bit of the micro textures on these though, so we can get that out of the way. Let's go with the pale skin first. Do a little pattern overlay. Perfect. We'll just leave that. Done. Thanks for watching, guys. What do we got in here? Let's try. Do I have any? I got some fleshy stuff. Well, okay. It does make it warmer, so I don't know that I love that. What if we go with like a luminosity approach? Okay, we raise the value up a little bit there. Make the tiling a little bit smaller. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. Just a little bit of weird grain in there. It just kind of breaks it up a little bit. What's interesting to me is that, okay, I guess I feel like we lose some of the, we lost some of the darkness around the eyes. I want to kind of bring that back, so I'm going to go a little heavier with this paint over here. Okay. Now let's get some on the bone color. And for this one, let's try... Well, that's kind of interesting. No, not that one. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, maybe that one? Kind of brightens things. I may need to choose something a little darker. Yeah, maybe if we make this tiling a little bit bigger on it. Yeah, okay, there we go. We got some good stuff. Now I need to make sure I collapse these because talking about performance problems, stacking. Oh, I guess that did kind of revert, didn't it? That's fine. We can just erase a little bit. Stacking pattern overlays, unrasterized pattern overlays, tanks Photoshop's performance. At least it does on my machine. Okay, now let's go for the inner mouth. And maybe we'll just do that one there. Let's rotate that. Ooh. Let's create a little bit of green in there. Okay, sure. Why does it feel like the teeth got moved? Because they did get moved, didn't they? Yep. I don't know when that happened, but I just caught it. I was just talking about that earlier. All right. Tongue texture. Can this one, maybe I can get away with like a soft light on this? Play with the, ooh. It's making it a little redder, so maybe we, oh, you know what? The eyes are that color too. They're on the same layer. I need to cut this. There we go. Did I paint that detail on? No. Oh, I guess I did. Oh, wow. Okay. Normally I do that on a separate layer. Also, there's a little bit of a gap here. Need to fix that gap. There we go. Effects on. All right. Is that? I think that's probably all the micro textures I want to do. Now we should do the feathers. So that means we want to do some mixer brush stuff. And to do that, we need to create a little fun palette over here. Just thinking maybe grabbing a little bit of this pink color here. Let's grab this teal. Kind of blend this together. Let's duplicate this. Let's lower the value down. Duplicate again and make the value brighter. Okay, now let's kind of mix it up a little bit. And then let's add a few fun little flecks. Now this is just like a starting point. You know, you may actually sample this and think, well, that doesn't look anything like what I want, but I can at least try it and see where it gets us. So all right, mixture kit heavy. Let's make sure we're on. Okay, that's our feather layer. Let's get a nice sampling here. Okay, it looks pretty good. And now let's go over here and start to paint some feather stuff. Now, when you're doing this, you of course have to pay attention to the way you're making your marks, right? Like this is very much like a painter where you are loading your brush a certain way, holding your brush a certain way, thinking about directionality. It's just, it's mimicking a lot more of the sort of traditional considerations than what digital would normally be simulating. And in that way, it's very powerful. Like you can get some fun color play going on, some good energy in your marks that otherwise might be just a little bit less easy to execute digitally. I mean, I think it goes without saying that the mixer brush certainly does some things in Photoshop that only the mixer brush can do, right? Like it occupies a unique space in Photoshop. So I think it's for that reason good to get familiar with what it does. You don't have to use it, but at least you know what it's there for, and should the need arise, you will be ready to go. And then a lot of times I'll make the same mark over again, just a slightly different way, just to get a slightly different results, get the colors to be positioned a little differently. I'll play with going up with the stroke or down with the stroke to orient. The really weird thing about the mixer brush is that there's no easy control over how the swatch is rotated. So like if you were to have a brush in real life, let's say it's not a thin brush for the sake of making it clear. Let's say it's a big wide rectangular brush and you had like pink on one side and cyan on the other. Well, if you're painting with it, it's very natural for you to turn the brush so that you can orient those colors differently. Um, but most people don't have a stylist that understands rotation, right? And understands tilt. Initial direction is sort of like a fudgy way to get some angling going on, but true rotation is only something you can get with a very particular device. And in fact, that device is, I think, discontinued. I do not own it. I've heard some people praise it, but couldn't tell you firsthand. And when you don't have that device, then how are you supposed to twist your brush to get the colors to be oriented differently? You can't really, as far as I know. So that's kind of a weird shortcoming of the mixer brush. It feels like while they're off trying to like add some crazy weird AI nonsense to Photoshop, like, well, just click a button and then it like invents creative stuff for you. Why don't you go back and like fix the stuff that you half implemented? How about that? That seems like a great call. But yeah, there's no money to be made in fixing the mixer brush. They can't get like investors excited at a conference by showing them that they fixed the mixer brush, so I get it. All right. Cool. I feel like that's a pretty good diffuse texture pass, and now we can start painting some shadows. So we'll go for some good old ambient shadows first, because they wash all over the forms like melting caramel. Multiply. I guess we can do a mask to help ourselves. So if you're doing this specific workflow, what I always do is I just take all my flats, which are all on their own layer, and in a group, just duplicate the whole group of all your flats. Control E and merge all the flats together, and then just make them all black. Just drag your lightness slider all the way down, and then you have your mask. Now, what this does is it reveals places where you might have been a little sloppy in your flats. You might have a few gaps here and there, but just a quick cleanup, and then you've got a mask to work with that you can use to keep your ambient shadows inside the silhouette. You can also use them to white out them all. Actually, I'm gonna go light gray with it. Use it to white out the model. so that you can see your shadow pass easier. I'm also going to colorize the lines. Do I want to do this? Yeah, I think I want to do this. Yeah, okay. And maybe what we should do is name our flats because it's funny that actually making the lines blue gives it this feeling like there's like weird veins all through this area. Oh wow, that's kind of cool. It's a happy accident. Maybe we'll find a way to bring that in there. But I need to name these layers because I'm going to have them turned off, but I still want to be able to select them to isolate our shadows to certain regions. Let's see, feathers. This is the flesh. This is the eyes. Tongue. Bone. I guess I painted that all in one layer. That's fine. And this is the gums, or I'll say inner mouth. It's probably more accurate. All right, now let's go back to our shadow pass here and start to get let's get dangerous. Is that what it says? Darkwing Duck? Okay, anyway. Yeah, we're painting some ambient shadows here. So, like, when I'm doing shadows in this area, I know this is kind of a clearly defined separation of the line art. And everything in here is pretty much just all the fleshy stuff, so I don't really feel like I need to be too careful about locking it to the flats. But if I get into an area where, like this bony spot here that overlaps the feathers, this is where I'm going to use one of the selections from the flats so that I can keep those things kind of locked into each other. I want that edge to feel like it matches, right? Otherwise it'll look really, really sloppy and gross. It's kind of fun getting in and doing some ambient shadows. I've been doing a lot of like more kind of like cell shaded looking stuff recently, and I love that too. It's a great fun style to do, but I do kind of like getting in here and sculpting with shadows is nice, especially on something that doesn't have a lot of like super technical shapes. Like it's a little more organic. Organics, I think, way more fun to paint shadows on than more robotic things or technical architectural things. Is that really... Interesting. I didn't realize that it shifted so far from the drawing there on that side. Is that right? Why does that feel wrong? Yeah, that layer got moved, didn't it? Well, I'll have to fix that, won't we? Did all of this stuff get moved? Oh boy. Turn the line art on higher now. Okay, that looks maybe more correct. Okay, does this feel like this is lining up better now? Let's see, eyes. Oops, I need to merge this. 30 tolerance. Okay, that feels better. Let's pull this line art a little bit down more. I'm just kind of zoning out here, guys. This is a relaxing process, just doing some shadow work. I'm gonna have to kill the Basque because I moved the flats around a little bit. What the hell is that? I'm going to take that tongue and I'm going to lower the saturation of it because it's getting really distracting. Also just looks a little too unnatural. Painting these feathers is giving me Sam Hain flashbacks from the painting we made of the Ghostbusters villain. All of his leaves. If you guys remember that one we did. All right, that's definitely starting to look interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's keep going with this here. Does this line up? Why does it feel like this? Feels like the teeth are offset again, doesn't it? And everything got kind of screwy. teeth. Let's see. Okay, that feels closer. Okay, double up on AO, and maybe we'll colorize the AO a bit. See. All right, maybe we go a little darker. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I think we're getting a pretty good preview of kind of where we're headed with this. I think it definitely is looking pretty interesting. And I think we'll probably wrap up here. I think we'll probably have just a little bit more tinkering to do with the ambient shadows, but they're pretty far along. I think we're pretty much there with it. Just a little bit of tweaks, a little bit of refinement, and then we'll throw in a key light, throw in some rim lighting, add some reflections, and then maybe a little bit of weird subsurface scattering stuff, a little bit of paint over, some extra micro details, And then I think we'll have Creature Head 3 done, which will be cool. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to work on this tonight, but glad we got there. I glad we resurrected this and are now working on this again. It'll be a fun sheet, I think, to have all the different heads painted up. So thanks, guys, for joining me, and definitely appreciate you watching. So yeah, remember to leave a like, leave a comment. And if you're new, check out the free drawing guide on YouTube in the comments section. You'll see, go over to the posts tab, social posts, and there's a post over there with a link to my drawing guide if you want to check that out. And I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's everything. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.